Good morning, beloved ones. Turn to someone and tell them, I'm filled to overflowing with the joy of living. I'm filled to overflowing with the joy of living. Yes, I'm filled to overflowing with the joy of living. The joy of life, of all these experiences we have, we're going to count it all joy, name it all joy. That's the secret, right? And so we want to begin this morning to continue with our wonderful series, or at least I'm enjoying it, so I'm calling it wonderful. But on our series entitled Back to Basics. And I started this series because sometimes we think we know that we know that we know, right? And only to find out that, there's more for me to know. To remember the truth that will set us free. Sometimes we get so busy with our living and doing that we forget the grounding, the truth that really undergirds everything. And so we are working with our series, helping us to get back to the things. They're simple things, or maybe even complicated things, but things that are essential for our growth and our unfolding. So our subtitle for this morning's message comes from the scripture, and it says this: as a man, as a woman thinketh. Now we'll get to what they're thinking in a minute. But the subtitle is, as a man or as a woman thinketh. And if you know anything about a New Thought church, or if you know anything about what we would consider truth with a big T, or anything about unity in general, then you would know that the essence and the power and the quality of your thoughts mean a great deal. Richard just spoke, as a metaphysician, he translated all that into his music. He could see his music, the meaning underneath the music, the flow, and he could relate it to life. That's a metaphysician who can take whatever experiences you have and you can see beneath it, below it. And so we're working with the quality of our thoughts. He said that's what he first heard when he came into a New Thought church or a Unity church. The power and the essence and quality of our thoughts. Now, I'm not talking about any kind of Pollyanna stuff. A lot of people want to attribute what we think and how we think to being very Pollyannish, very lightweight. But I'm talking about something deep, even that science has finally understood, right? They understand now why prayer actually works and how it works. They're getting to a level where they understand the power of the thought and its effect, not only upon your outer experiences, but its effect upon your own body and mind. So we're talking about these things, this thought that carries a lot of weight. It carries weight in whether or not or how you're going to manifest or experience your life, or experience the kind of life you want to live. Your thoughts are powerful because they actually mirror your consciousness. They mirror your consciousness because they show up in your life as experiences. Your thoughts are going to show up as an experience. That means that you get to see what you're thinking habitually by what's showing up in your life habitually, right? Because here's the thing, if you find yourself asking, why is this happening to me again? I say check out your consciousness. Because it's a telltale sign of your thoughts and your inner beliefs, which you perhaps are holding on to, which will become your experience. Which is why a basic statement that we affirm in New Thought or in Unity is that life is what? Consciousness. Life is consciousness. Your life is a reflection of your consciousness. Like it or not, it is the truth. And many people don't really like it. Right? They don't like it because that would mean that you are responsible. That would mean that you bear some level of responsibility for your own life and for what's showing up in your life. Most people would rather have mitigating circumstances be responsible, right? Or conditions, some kind of out of control conditions to be responsible, or circumstances, or people, or situations, or the unfairness of life, or maybe the luck of the draw to be responsible. But me? No. And while all of those things may actually play a part or even be unavoidable, because we can't control everything that happens out here, while even if those things are unavoidable, how you experience them is entirely reflective of your consciousness, right? Your inner view of life. It's reflective of your habitual thoughts and feelings. Brian Tracy put it this way. He said, "You are a living magnet. You attract into your life what is in harmony with your dominant thoughts." You are a living magnet. What you attract into your life is in harmony with your dominant thoughts. You're a magnet. Unity puts it this way, as defined by our teaching and understanding of what we call the law of mind in action. The law of mind in action, which is what? Oh, I got me some true students in the house this morning. Yes. I wanted to see if I could trick, because every now and then I ask you that questions over the years, and I tell you this is one of the few things I'm going to say. Life is what? And you know consciousness. And if I ask you what the law of mind action is, you're going to say this, that thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. That is called the law of mind in action. That is how your mind works. That is how creativity comes into being. Hold that thought, it gathers substance and energy, and it manifests into life, into reality. All of which means that there's some kind of connection between your thoughts and your experiences, your thoughts and your manifestations, your thoughts and your beliefs. And if you are ignorant of this truth, you will keep drawing into your life things that you do not want and keep wondering, why is this happening to me again? Why is this coming to me again? So we want to see if we can look at this basic teaching and take it a little deeper. At least we also find ourselves maybe getting a little literal when we say that, the law of mind action is thoughts held in mind, they produce after their kind. I want us to go a little deeper because sometimes we can get a little literal. And then, because we're not literal here, we're metaphysical, but we're not necessarily literal. Because when we get literal, we might think that it's any thought that we think that begins to produce or manifest in our experiences. And if that were the case, we might otherwise, because people would say, well, if that's the case, well, I didn't have the thought that to get into a car accident this morning. I didn't have the thought, I think I want to lose my job. I didn't have the thought that says, well, look, I think I really want to get sick with a disease or a condition, a physical condition. I didn't really have the thought that says I want to break up with my loved one. No, probably not. You didn't have that specific thought. But I wonder if those people who would say, well, I didn't have that thought. Why did this happen? I wasn't thinking that. I wonder if they have habitually held the feeling or the belief or a corresponding thought that vibrated with that experience. Such as, maybe they might have said, well, you know what, every time you're driving on the highway, there are so many reckless drivers out here. Or maybe they might have had the thought that said, you know what, the economy is so bad and jobs are so hard to find for people. Or maybe they might have said, you know what, I'm getting a little older and my body is not as strong as it used to be. Or maybe you might have the thought that says, you know, true love is really hard to find. See, it's not a specific thought. I'm talking about those thoughts that have a corresponding vibration. It's not the specific thought that matters as much as the underlying feeling and belief behind the thought that will produce an effect. That you got to get, right? You got to understand that it's what's behind that thought. So don't go thinking, well, I didn't think I was going to have an accident. No. But you might have been focused on, you know, the negativity of people driving on the roads or whatever it is. There's a corresponding thought, a corresponding vibration, an unconscious yes that you may have attached yourself to. Eugene Ionesco said this. He said, it isn't what people think that is important, but the reason they think what they think. It isn't what people think that's important, but the reason that they think what they think. What's behind your general thoughts? Is it truth or trash? You know, fear-based thinking or faith-based reality. For example, you know, you may not have had an individual thought of, let's say, fear, but your overall consciousness has accumulated an aggregation of fearful thoughts. So that now what happens is you don't or can't necessarily identify a single thought of fear, but you're now affected by your accumulative consciousness of fear. You get what I'm saying? So you can say, well, I didn't have a fear. No. You now have a fear consciousness, not just a thought of fear. It's the accumulation. One negative thought does not a consciousness make. So we don't have to get paranoid, like, oh my God, I've had a negative thought. But an accumulation and a plethora of negative thoughts that you hold, that you build, when you take that into your consciousness, now you have a negative consciousness. Talking about not just a single thought, but a consciousness, an aggregation of thoughts and feelings and attitudes and perceptions that all of a sudden begin, and you now have a consciousness. And this process of consciousness, or what I would call this consciousness building, works with any accumulation of thought. It could be positive or it could be negative. It doesn't matter. Habitual thoughts and feelings will then move into a state of you owning a consciousness, so that now you're not even aware of that single thought. You're not going around saying, I think I'll go out this morning and have a car accident. But it is an aggregation, an accumulation of belief or fear in that type of thing. It can work for your benefit. Habitual thoughts of abundance and prosperity will yield a prosperity consciousness. See, some people think one thought, well, I said a prayer, I asked God to give me some prosperity. Well, one thought of prosperity does not a consciousness make. Right? How many? So it is the habitual thoughts of abundance and blessing and divine protection and wellness that will produce a prosperity consciousness. And a prosperity consciousness yields prosperity. A prosperity consciousness mirrors prosperity. And the same could be said for health or whatever it is that you are working for. Life is consciousness, and your life will reflect what you have built into your consciousness, your accumulated thoughts and your corresponding vibrations, positive or negative, faith-filled or fear-filled. The choice is always yours, and the doing is yours. The Course in Miracles says this. The Course in Miracles says, every thought you have contributes to truth or illusion. Either it extends the truth or multiplies illusions. I love that. Every thought you have contributes to truth or illusion. It either extends the truth or multiplies illusions. Are you multiplying illusions in your life? Are the same negative, limited, fear-based challenges, experiences showing up again and again? It's time then to check out your underlying thoughts, your unconscious beliefs. We talked about that last week, the unconscious beliefs. It's time to check out those unexamined, unverified, false assumptions that are now a part of your subconscious belief system. You've held it so long, you don't even know you're holding it. You've believed it so long, or said it, so maybe you don't even believe it, but you have said it and felt it so long that it's now a part of you, right? And so it doesn't do anything to serve you well, but instead it now just simply repeats in your life as your reality. And when something becomes a reality for you, you think it's a reality for everybody. You think this is the way life is, right? Well, isn't everybody unhappy? Life is hard. So, because you're struggling, you think life is hard. Everybody's supposed to be struggling. That's the way life is. For you, not for me. I'm going to have life be a joy. I'm going to have life be, an opportunity for growth, whatever, but I don't want to have it be hard and a struggle. You get what you believe in your consciousness. So the question is, do you know the reasons why you think what you think? And have you measured what you think, against the truth of God? Have you measured what you think against the spiritual principles of life? Or are you measuring what you think against some worldly belief or some popular thought or pattern or some group think? Everybody thinks this way, so this is the way I should think too. Or because everybody in the family thinks this way or believes this way, then I should believe that way. Or maybe the pundits on TV are saying it, so it must be true, or whatever. We have to watch what we are allowing into consciousness. And we have to understand, well, why do we think what we think? Do you even know? Are you in groupthink? Are you unconscious? And the question you want to ask is, are your thoughts working for you? Are they working for you? Are they producing the life you want to live? Attracting good? Peace Pilgrim said this. I don't know if any of you know Peace Pilgrim, but Peace Pilgrim was this wonderful woman who walked across the U.S., and she wrote a little book. And she lived in peace. She walked across the United States, and she didn't carry money and anything of that nature. She used to wear a little blue smock. Anybody know of Peace Pilgrim? She used to wear a little blue smock, and that's how she lived her entire life. She said, either God's going to, take care of me or not. And she would just do that, and people would feed her, and she would have a wonderful experience. Well, this is what she said, and she would write of her thoughts and her experiences. And so Peace Pilgrim offers us this test. And she said, there's a certain criterion by which you can judge whether the thoughts you are thinking and the things you are doing are right for you. The criterion is, have they brought you inner peace? If they have not, there's something wrong with them. I love that test. It is so simple, right? Is the thought that you are thinking or the things that you are doing, is it bringing you inner peace? If not, then there's something wrong with it. Something wrong with the thought. Something wrong with the activity and the action. So this is vital. How can now we be assured that what we're thinking will actually bring us a measure of peace and bring us the life that we desire? The Bible gives us a hint in Proverbs 23, verse 7, because it does say, as a man or as a woman thinketh in his heart, so is he, so is she. So the key now becomes to learn to think with the heart. To think with the heart, because the heart's wisdom, believe it or not, is wiser than the wisdom of the head. In fact, the head doesn't have very much wisdom at all. It has a lot of knowledge. It has some facts. It has a lot of book learning, right? It has some intellectual analysis. It has all that stuff. It's good. But wisdom, my friends, does not come from the head. It comes from the heart. It comes from the heart. The wisdom of the heart is purer than what you're going to find in the head. It's pure because the wisdom that comes from the heart is the seat of God's love. It is the seat of God's truth. What did Jesus say? One of the first Beatitudes, only the pure in heart shall see God. There's a purity that comes out of the heart that is equated with the Spirit of the living God. So the wisdom of the heart is true. And as we learn how to now think with the heart, we begin to access the wisdom of the divine. And what happens is we begin to expand our consciousness so that it now becomes in alignment with the wisdom of God or the wisdom of the divine. We then have the ability to begin to think higher thoughts, purer thoughts, based on the truth, right? Which leads us to higher consciousness and the manifestation of goodness and blessings. Didn't the scripture says, it says, my thoughts are not what? Like your thoughts. My thoughts are higher. My ways are not like your ways. My ways are higher. So what we need to do is not rely on necessarily our own thinking and understanding, but somehow to tap into that higher wisdom of God, the higher essence of the divine that we then allow to pour forth into our mind and understanding. It's a powerful thing. In order to think those thoughts after God, friends, you have to come from the heart. You can't think your thoughts in the head and think you're going to try to access the divine. God is greater than your own thought. It resides. The Spirit of God resides in the heart. As a man or woman thinketh, what? In his heart. So is he, so is she. So when you can now get into your heart, then you're going to begin to demonstrate something different. Now, you've got to be able to distinguish. Once you're starting now to move into the heart and to think with the heart, you're going to have to be able to distinguish between your thoughts and your feelings. Sometimes we say, well, I think, and you really mean I feel. And sometimes we say, well, I feel, and you're really talking about a thought. So we've got to be able to get clear on that because, see, your thoughts can tell you a lie, but your feelings never will. You can say anything. You can convince yourself, oh, I feel good. You can tell, oh, mm-hmm. Somebody asks you how you feel. Oh, I'm just doing just fine, great. Mm-hmm. Inside, something else is taking place. You can try to convince yourself with your thoughts, but that gut feeling says, but I'm churning up with fear. My body's tense. See, feeling will always give you the truth of what's really taking place, what you're really thinking and feeling. You're feeling, you got to check out the feelings because they are the barometers for what you really believe. We talked about belief last time. Your feelings will be your barometer for what you really believe. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have to also transform your feelings. They're going to be truthful, but they may not be the highest and best, but you still have to be truthful about it. We can't say, well, if you're feeling some rage, don't be saying, oh, I feel pretty good. You got to be, if you're feeling some rage, you might have to say, well, you know what, I'm feeling some rage right about now. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling upset. Don't lie to yourself, because once you can identify what you're really feeling, it is then that you can kind of heal it and transform even your feelings. Your feelings are going to be truthful in terms of telling you what's really going on, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to work to really bring truth to your feelings so that you can transform them. Because you see, what happens is, it is when your thoughts and your feelings are in perfect alignment, that's when creativity happens. That's when transformation happens. What happens is we are so double-minded, we say one thing and feel another, or we're feeling one thing and thinking another, and we're out of alignment. Creativity happens when you bring them both into alignment and not being double-minded and confused and unclear. So we have to understand, how do we bring the two into alignment? As a man or a woman thinketh in her heart, in his heart, so is he. Be honest with yourself. Search out what lies within your heart. Because the Bible also says this in Proverbs 4, verse 23. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it springs the issues of life. Keep your heart with all diligence. It's like you monitor this heart, because out of it springs and comes the issues of life. And most of us have an issue or two, right? Anybody who does not have any issues? And the fact that you don't think you have an issue is an issue. That's your issue. That's what the phrase, there's another phrase very similar that says, the issue is not the issue. It's the thoughts and feelings behind the issue that is the issue. See, what have you allowed into your heart? What false premises or beliefs reside there? Because if you can trace your issues backwards, you will more than likely find some unresolved, unhealed feelings. Feelings of hurt, rejection, maybe unworthiness, loneliness, being not enoughness. Whatever it is, it's those feelings. It's a feeling that comes from the heart, albeit some of them might be untrue, but those feelings that come from the heart may impede your growth and your blessings and your prosperity and even your health, because you're allowing them to affect your soul and your being. You experience what you think in your heart. In other words, what you feel very deeply. So we need to get in touch with our feelings as well as our thoughts, because this is a time now to do our work in consciousness. This is a time of getting to the heart of the matter. Not what is the matter with your life, but what is at the heart of the matter in your life. Get to that and figure that out and see what that is and clean it up and heal it and resolve those issues and all those unexamined, unconscious thoughts and feelings that seem to be wreaking havoc in your life and affairs. You got to be willing to now say, I'm going to live a heart-centered life. I want to live from a heart-centered life means I'm going to begin to check everything from a heart-centered perspective. Not just my thoughts, but my feelings, because that's where the truth lies. So you can ask yourself, when something takes place, you're going to compare your thoughts and your feelings. You can ask, is it loving? Is this thought loving? Is this thing that I'm about to do loving? Or you can ask, is it based on truth? Truth or trash? Does it serve the highest good of all concerned? That's another basic key teaching. No, I want it to serve my highest good alone. Does it serve the highest good of all concerned? Does it bring me peace? If it's not bringing you peace, you have something to look at. And then you can also ask from time to time, well, what am I feeling? What am I really feeling right now? Not what am I thinking, what am I feeling right now? What lies behind and underneath those feelings? Truth or trash? Spend the time, more time in your heart than in your head. We're always reviewing what so-and-so said and did and what happened. Forget that. Spend time in your heart. Become aware of your feelings more so than your thoughts, because your feelings are going to carry more of the truth about what you believe. Check out your body. Am I tense? Where am I feeling uncomfortable? Am I anxious? Am I peaceful? Your body is going to tell you the truth about what you feel. So we do that to spend time in this consciousness of the heart, because we want to be able to see where we are and to change, if we must, even our feelings. And the easiest way to do that, once you own them, you got to be honest and own them. Don't act like you don't have it. You know, truth students, sometimes we don't want to say, I'm really feeling negative and bad and evil or whatever. Own it. But once you do that, then begin to allow those feelings to be transformed. And the easiest way to transform your feelings, because they're so real to you, it's hard to say, stop feeling angry. Just stop it, stop it, stop it. It doesn't work that way. But an easy way to transform and change your feelings is to let God enter into your heart, to let the divine do the work, to let the love and the light and the wisdom of the divine to come pouring forth into your being, into your heart. Just keep filling yourself with the inner presence of God, and God will do the rest. The scripture says that the nature of God is what? Love, infinite love. Love casts out all fear. Love casts out anything that is less than itself. So you allow love, the love of God, to enter into your heart. Don't worry about trying to fix Johnny or even fix yourself. Just allow yourself to be in love. And let that love come into your heart. And when you can do that enough, and you make a habit of doing that, you'll begin to speak the truth. You'll begin to demonstrate the divine. You'll begin to become what God has intended for you to become. You'll begin to do what God has ordained for you to do. And you'll begin to have and experience and live and manifest the kingdom of heaven on earth. Think with your heart. Blessings. Namaste and blessings. Namaste. Blessings. Namaste. Namaste.